with Eric Brown tonight. And so there is an advantage for those who register. So if you know any registrants who haven't jumped into the Zoom yet, we're already up to 26. I expect that we'll get close to 50 before we really get too far into it. So make sure you get the word out, because this is one of the favorites that I've been waiting for all week. You can certainly send the YouTube stream, and we'll try to get it as soon as possible out for people who don't get the opportunity to engage. At least they'll still get the chance to see this live interactive workshop. The title is Deep Fake Everything. How do we stay real in a deep fake world while cultivating character online? There's so many layers just in that title that I'm excited to see how this plays out. Ladies and gentlemen, if it's okay with you, Eric, I'll just pass it directly to you to introduce yourself in a moment, but I'll do a quick intro and talk a little bit about what's going on. If this happens to be the first time that you're here, you are in the Black AI Literacy Week. We have put together this power-packed panelists, a week long's worth of technologists, of theorists, of philosophers, of economists, of all kinds of people with all kinds of toes in this AI world. And today is going to be no disappointment. I can promise you that. I want to give a special shout out to Stefan Youngblood and Miss Patty, who have been critical in getting this thing organized. There are a lot of people who are behind the scenes. You can see Kate Carter here. She will be clacking away because she is just like that. Okay. There's a great group of people that have been involved in bringing this to you live and free of charge. So if you could do us the favor with a little bit of social capital, find the link, share it on your LinkedIn, let the folks know that we are live now so they have an opportunity to join us for this experience. We just see the YouTube live has just been dropped in the Zoom chat. So if you have a social media account, whether it's your Instagram or your YouTube or your text or whatever group you're a part of, send that YouTube out so at least people can see the live if they don't have the opportunity to register and interact and engage with us. But I'm excited about what's going on. With that, we're up to 30. I expect that we will continue to see more and more people come in, but they might miss the introduction. Eric, if you're ready, I'd like to pass it over to you. Maybe you could give us a brief introduction of who you are and the overview of the session goals and the structure of today's session.
And really quick, Kate and Maya, would you all keep admitting everybody? Thank you. You got it, Eric.
No, thank you. Really excited to be a part of this inaugural event. I've been through sessions throughout the last day or so, and just inspired by this opportunity for us to be able to share our collective knowledge, but also learn and grow together. And my name is Eric Brown. I am a technologist, mentor, coach, founder of Elevate Coaching and Consulting, and I help leaders envision the art of the possible as it relates to emerging technologies, but more importantly, be able to go from idea to business and community impact. And one of the technologies that I have been doing some research around is deepfakes. And Stefan and I had the opportunity to connect, and we talked about deepfakes and kind of the wave of innovation that's coming, but also the impact that it's having on us as a society and choices that we have to make in the way that we interact with AI in particular. And so today's discussion is around deepfakes, but also talking about character and being able to cultivate it in a world where we may not be able to decipher what is real and what is not. And so this is definitely going to be an engaging, open conversation, definitely showcasing some examples, but definitely want to take the time to hear your thoughts and perspectives, but more importantly, be able to end this call with some tangible things as far as conversation starters to have in your community, but also some tools as far as being able to distinguish deepfakes and being able to leverage this technology in an effective way. So one thing.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things I want to do to kind of kick off the conversation is just to give a poll. I know that there some of you have maybe experienced deepfakes, some may not have, and so I actually have a quick poll just to be able to gauge your experience and exposure with deepfakes. And so, one moment while I share my screen, while I'm doing that, I will paste in the chat a link to be able to participate in this poll. So one moment while I do that. I'm going to paste it here. There also will be a QR code when I share my screen. All right. Okay, I already got some people. So what is your initial perception of deepfake technology? Okay.
Hey, I would say one thing. The word deep fake sounds bad. You know, s- some people are throwing in there synthetic images or synthetic content is like a more positive way. Deep fake, as soon as you hear fake, you think something's not right.
But
So
Stefan, I'm not sure if that's necessarily a bad thing because it can allow people at least the opportunity to start with a critical eye or to be triggered in a way to not just assume what's presented to them is real news. Maybe
gotcha.
it's a shout out to the political memes out there, but we've been sensitized to this idea of fake news and fake information coming out. So there's a part of me that does want to get with the idea of embracing, but there's also a part that says, hey, just keep in mind, right? We can't all eat the cake.
Okay, so it seems like the majority are have a negative perception about it initially, and I'm curious to see how that perspective changes as we go throughout the conversation. Let me go to the next slide here. What concerns you most about the rise of deep fakes? Are you still able to participate? There we go. So we mentioned the misinformation and fake news, privacy invasion, ethical misuse.
Ethical mis One of my friends is thinking about what he's going to do with a domain clearlyfake.com. So
Clearly fake.
yeah, he said maybe this will be something where you could identify. And I'm telling you, it's a place I think you probably make some money if you figured out some of the ways to I don't know, not watermark, but let people know ahead of time. If you kept this running ticker going on of the fake one or what's real, or somebody just threw something bad out there, people would really want to have the inside scoop. Hey, Eric, I'm gonna ask you something. I feel like 75% of the stuff is going by. We're only catching 25%. It gets on the news. Hey, they did so and so political figure or a girl in high school put a I think we're seeing 25, but 75 is gone because we don't even know we were faked.
I agree. I had a scenario recently. My mom sent me this motivational talk by an author that I admire. And I quickly just clicked on it and was listening to it on my phone. And I was like, sounds slightly different about this audio. I'm like, it sounds like him. The language and the sentiment is like the author, but the cadence seemed a little off and it didn't have his authentic gestures. And so I was like, let me look in the comments. And sort of people were like, this is AI generated. And so I think now more than ever, we have to be critical when looking at information. And it can be used for entertainment and education, but I think it's important for us to be cognizant of what is real and what is synthetic generated.
Hey, what about this? Next year, you're going to be able to be here and we won't know that it's not you. So we'll be able to pretty fast, um, a predictive model will be able to say what you might say, answer questions that I'm giving to you, and we might not know. I'm not going to like that, y'all. I mean, I'm really not going to like uh, a plastic thing out there that's really not you, but that's where we're going with it.
No, that's key. I'm going to stop sharing. I definitely appreciate the participation with the poll. Stop sharing here. But to that point, one thing that I heard recently, the CEO of Zoom, matter of fact, has been going and sharing his vision for the next few years. And he talks about having essentially these digital avatar agents that can join multiple meetings on your behalf. And to your point, based on your training, as well as your avatar face, it can be able to answer questions and be able to take notes and participate when you essentially making you be able to be in multiple places at once. And so that is something that like you could be at the beach while your avatar is in the meeting taking notes for you, and but also being able to give answers based on your previous history of sharing. And so that's definitely something that is on the roadmap for Zoom in particular.
Yeah. Just the idea. I mean, but can somebody really speak for you? Somebody was saying, if you can do it for you, Eric, then why not just go back in history? Kate, I think that might be you or somebody. Why not just go back in history and grab some pictures of Martin Luther King Jr. and put all of his speeches together, all that we know about him, throw all that data in a large language model, and now let that stuff that we put together bring him back. So I get it. I know it's going to happen, but man, can this robot, really speak for, do we really want to do that to bring it back? And then what about 100 years, 50 years down the road, when kids really don't care which one is the real one? The new one that's synthetic might be teaching them stuff because it's stuff like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would have said. Okay, I'll stop there.
No, and I think those are the
Yeah.
questions that we have to ask in this season. And I would say, like the use case you just gave, when it comes to education and entertainment, typically that is a use case that has already been done in the sense of VR, being able to go and have a conversation with a bot, or historical figure. And so it makes sense from an educational standpoint, but it comes down to when is too far, and what is the guidelines around it. And so I think what's interesting is as a community, as leaders, as educators, we have to be able to come up with the frameworks around what is the ethical way in leveraging these voices and this content. One thing that came up recently, we had the debate between Drake and Kendrick. Was historic moment in hip hop, and one of the things that came up within that battle was Drake used an AI version of Tupac's voice, and I believe he did it without permission of the Tupac estate, and so they definitely were saying that's not necessarily the right terms and being able to use it, and for some thought it was disrespectful to be able to leverage his voice. And so this definitely goes outside of just facial, but also voice signatures.
I want to jump in here if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
To quote a thought leader in the space, they not like us. So when it comes to deep fakes, can you help us a little bit understand deep fakes? Do you have any demos maybe where you can illustrate this concept or frame some key terms that we can use so we can start operating from the same frame?
Let me throw something
Yeah.
out there. Now, go ahead. I was just going to throw one thing. Let me see if I can share it really quick. Let's just watch this. Tell me if y'all can see my screen. It's actually not the one I
We
wanted.
can.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Here it is.
Perhaps.
All right, can you see it? Let's try something.
In the early days of computer programming, a significant historical anecdote is known as Grace Hopper and the bug. In
I want you to
1947,
think about which
at
one is
Harvard
real and
University,
which is fake.
Rear Admiral Grace Hopper was working on the Mark II computer. One day, the system stopped working, and technicians discovered a moth trapped between the contacts of a relay, causing the malfunction. Hopper then coined the term debugging to describe the process of fixing computer errors. She even pasted the moth in her logbook, which is now on display at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. This incident symbolizes the origin of the term bug, commonly used in computer science to describe a flaw or error in a program. Hopper's creativity and problem-solving skills have made her one of the pioneering figures in early computer science.
So which one is real and which one is fake? If you think the first one, the one on the left, is real, put a 1 in the chat. And if you think the second one is real, put a 2 in the chat. Y'all putting it down there? Can you see some 1s and 2s?
Yeah, there's some 1s and 2s. It looks like 2s are starting to take the lead.
2s, give it a little bit more. 2s are taking the
a little
lead.
bit
Which
more.
one was real The one on the left or the right?
There's a few holdouts for one, but it seems like two is taking this one away.
Okay. Well, the real one is neither. They're both fake. So both of
Mr.
those.
Stefan, that's not fair. You didn't give us that option because that's what I thought.
Oh, well, you should have.
You said one or two, so we had
Oh,
to
okay.
pick.
Well, you got it. That's good. You had an eye. But I'm telling y'all, this stuff is just crazy. And I used this one in illustration in a keynote a year ago. Okay, let's see. Eric, you got some stuff that you've created. Let's just kind of jump into it. You go for it.
Do the switch your screen share so we can get.
Oh, there you got right there. There you go. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
but before sharing some of the work that I've created, I want to I think mention kind of have a level set on definition, right? And so we're talking about deep fake. I think one of the terms that came out earlier is synthetic creation. Being able to have a computer generated replication of someone's voice, someone's face. Sometimes it's a combination of syncing of lips or being able to switch out someone's face that is the original video and putting on your face or another type of person's face. And so this has been done for quite some time, particularly entertainment. You may have seen on Instagram or Facebook, like I guess LeBron James or someone else being able to make comments that typically they didn't make, being able to have this overlay. One thing I've seen as of late, I think Bad Boys has come out with a new movie, and now people are having overlay of the Bad Boys faces on their own faces, and so those are examples of deepfakes. The common scenarios are primarily in video as well as audio. And what's interesting is now, initially it took a lot of effort to be able to create them, and even when creating them, you could quickly tell whether it's AI generated or not. Now, for less than under 25 minutes with $0, you can create something that looks almost real or really hyper realistic. And so one of the examples that I made a few months back, and I showed my wife, and she was disappointed with me. She was like, "Eric, this is uncomfortable." And so I'll share an example that I made for this talk, and can kind of go in more detail. And so one moment while I share my screen.
So some of the things I want to deal with in this. Oh, it's already coming up. All right, let me mute up.
All right, you guys can see it.
Yes.
Digital twin, and I'm here to share some exciting news. Eric is thrilled to be a part of the National Black AI Literacy Week, where he'll be presenting a captivating session titled Deep Fake Everything, Staying Real in a Deep Fake World While Cultivating Character. This insightful talk is hosted by the incredible Stefan Youngblood, founder of the Black AI think tank.
Can you turn the
Eric
volume
is
up?
passionate about this topic, and he can't wait to dive into the fascinating world of deep fakes and explore how we can maintain authenticity and character in an age of advanced technology. We invite you to join us for this free event. Don't miss out on the opportunity to engage in meaningful conversations and hands-on trainings. Sign up now and be a part of this important dialogue. See you there. Were you able to hear that?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can hear.
that's just too much. So that's right on the edge, Eric. And that took you how long to make?
10 minutes.
Yeah, but
It's
all you
right.
had to do was sit in front of the camera and read the script, right?
No. I took some video of myself. I uploaded it and then was able to give it a script, almost like a prompt, and it was able to produce that. And so I can share that a little later, exactly the process. But once you've been able to train video, you're able to go and just give it a prompt, whatever you want to say, and I can quickly reproduce videos of myself being able to say whatever I like. And
No,
so the scenario.
I'm sorry. I don't think you understand my question. I've seen people do like cartoons, and they'll take cartoon images and then put a voice, and then the mouth will kind of want. That I think could take about 25 minutes. But what you did was just put yourself in front of a camera and record it and just clip the ends, right?
No, so I took a video of myself, I uploaded it into the HeyGen system. It was able to process my video, create a digital avatar from that video, and then I was able to give it a script.
What you presented was not actually you. That was an AI generation of you.
Correct.
Bro, but it gave you the little wrinkles in your eyebrow,
I
bro.
know, man. That's what I'm saying. It's me.
Y'all need to
But
stop.
one thing that gives it away is if we look at the lips, it's slightly off. And then even like some of the language, but I mean, it's my voice signature as well.
That's because you uploaded a video of yourself. That's why it looks like you. HeyGen does it, and so does, I think it's called Synthesia or something like that.
And
That
Humane
can
as
make it.
well.
Yes, a bunch of them. Be Human does it. This is the word. Somebody has music in the background.
I'll check that, Mike.
Sorry.
I think it's solid.
Yeah, no, it's where we are. A bunch of companies do this and make it ridiculously easy for you to do.
So, okay, so clarify some terms then, Eric. Deep fake versus digital twin versus avatar. Are these interchangeable terms, or are these things that we should be using for distinct purposes?
No, that's a great question. I'll start with digital avatar. Today, whether it's Zoom or if you go to any type of video game, you're going to have a digital representation of yourself. One of the feedbacks that's been received from Meta, Microsoft, and others is like, it doesn't really look like me. It looks like a cartoon. And so now they're trying to create hyper-realistic avatars to be able to represent yourself. And so in this scenario, like mentioned, I uploaded a video myself. I gave permission to the system to say, you know what, I do want my avatar, or I want this digital twin to look like me and represent me. So in the scenario of an avatar, this is something that's going to represent me in a digital space. When it comes to deep fake, being able to then be able to overlay and have it say something that maybe I didn't originally say, that dubbing effect, that's where it's a deep fake. And so if, say, for example, Obama had a speech and I'm able to put his speech in my words, or vice versa, be able to have my speech, my speech using his face, then that will be a deep fake. But when it represents myself, I consider this to be a digital twin or an avatar.
Stefan, we've had conversations about this. I hope you don't mind. I'm you guys got me triggered now. This idea of real, right, Stefan? We've talked about this, the redefinition of what it means to be real, what it means to be sentient, what it means to be ethical. Like, where do you stand on that these days with what we've just seen?
So the deal is, I think we're so close to being able to create something that really can deceive, that some people are saying, well, now that we can put our thoughts in it too, they're starting to reassign that as reality. So if you think right now, we had Christopher Lafayette talking about virtual reality, extended reality, mixed reality, with augmented reality. Well, the thing that's consistent in all of them is there is something real. By the way, if y'all going to call it deep fakes, why don't you just call it counterfeits? Give it, it's not, so that's the really negative term, but the idea of what's real and what's not. John Passmore said this morning, well, maybe I'm cool with that. Maybe I just like that one. So what if it is the real that I choose? And by the way, y'all, AI, the biggest market for AI right now is as companions. So because
Are we going there? Are we going there, bro?
in a second, we always go there, but
all right.
So that's assigning a reality to this thing, and you're gonna get connected. It goes deep, but anyway, reality, the definition is being shifted. I just got a text from Nick Ballstrom. He was a director for the Center for the Future of Humanity. He came up with the term super intelligence, and he's a pretty interesting guy. His new book is Deep Utopia. What is it that we're going to do when we get to a place of utopia? But he actually thinks there's going to be a combination of a digital mind and us that's put together. And I'm just telling you what's ahead is it's going to be confusing. Eric, you were right on the edge right there. I mean, when you sent me that, it's just like too good, but it's even going to get better.
Now, I see
Eric,
Kate has a hand.
yeah, I wanted to, that's exactly what I wanted to deal
Yeah, I
with.
have a quick question. So I signed up for HeyGen the other day, but I haven't had time to dabble in it yet. And I'm curious about whether or not I have to verify myself when signing up so that I can only create content for myself, right? Because I don't want to be able to screen grab you, Eric, and then create a script that you would never say and, you know, say deplorable things or whatever, and then put that content out there. Obviously, we know that there's tools out there and there are people doing those type of things, but I think that's where the ethical and responsible part comes in with these tool makers, these application makers, that I am verifying that it is me and like I do want to be saying these things and creating said content.
Correct. When I went through this process, I did have to verify my identity and get permission to be able to leverage that. And so, to your point, with that intent, I have permission to leverage this and use it within this environment, this tenant, for my own purposes, but no one else is able to leverage it. And it's kind of isolated to me. Now, there are other systems out there that you can be able to do it for nefarious or inauthentic ways. But for this service in particular, it definitely has intent for educational purposes. And they definitely go through that process of making sure you verify who you are. So that's definitely key. And I think it touches on the key thing in this space is thinking about honesty, transparency, authenticity, and just being able to know that, you know, even if it's something that is kind of a deep fake in this scenario or a digital avatar, that you're honest about what's being created. So even if you notice, one of the things I did with that in mind, in the language, I said, this is Eric's digital twin in the initial setup. I didn't say that this is Eric. Kind of letting people know that this is a representation of Eric, but this is not Eric.
It's
Can I
interesting.
comment on that? Really?
Yeah, I
is
brought
just a
Trinica up
comment.
too. I'll let her go.
Oh,
after.
I'm sorry. You go first. You go first.
Thank you. So I just want to know, are we able to license out our image and likeness digitally, like in that type of way, if we're in the entertainment industry?
Yes, I went to Afrotech this past summer, and Timberland was there, and he talked about this particular use case, saying that, you know what, some people are using their likeness without permission, but he was saying that it's important to come up with the times and to be able to properly have intellectual property around your voice, your tone, your style, and then be able to have people pay a license fee to be able to leverage it. And so, you know, even for myself, if I want to go and continue to make videos and they become popular, I may want to say, hey, if you want to license out being able to use my face or what have you, that then you can do that. But I want to get paid for that process. And so I think, to your point, it's important to be able to go through the proper legal measures to be able to make sure that you have intellectual property of the assets that you create, even if they are avatars.
Thank you.
Eric, I just got to say, you were talking about, you were honest about it. But right now, very few people even put a image up that hasn't had a filter on it or some makeup. Oh, let me take my freckles away. Why would we think that now we're going to be honest about this new thing that we can make highly realistic when we rarely do anything without touching it up, because we show the part of us that we want people to see, and we give them something that's not real. Actually, I think AI is just returning the favor. Y'all didn't want like who you really are, you know, so you wanted something even better. Now we're going to give you better. So we're going to give you what you want. You're now perfect, you know, your voice and everything. But I don't understand. And you and I talked about character. You're saying it's like just up to people. Please be honest about it. Does it come down to that?
Well, at the time being, it's kind of the wild, wild west in the marketplace, because, you know, there's not a lot of policies and tools to be able to keep up with the innovation as far as being able to detect what's a deep fake or not. But to your point, I think we are leveraging AI and these advanced technologies as a tool, but it's only representing what our intent is in using them. One of the things that I saw, you know, for the longest time, catfishing has been big. There's a whole show about it, as far as people pretending to be someone else, whether it's via text message or being able to have images, etc. One of the technologies that I didn't showcase, but I'm looking into, is real-time deepfake. So in that avatar, that was generated and I played a video, but I can be able to put a filter that I can structure my face, move around, and I can look like someone totally different. And it could be real time. So I'm having a conversation with you, but I may look like someone else. And that's something that is available. And they starts off with entertainment, but people may use it for reasons that come from just being dishonest and not being transparent about who they are. And so they're able to take a layer further with being able to do it real time.
So
Can I
in
jump
real
in
time,
here?
you can be somebody else. Dang, y'all. In real time, you can be somebody else. That's
There's so much I want to say about that, but for
I know.
moderator,
Yeah,
for the
keep
sake of
on going.
moderator
Keep on
privilege,
going,
yeah,
Stefan.
a couple things I want to do for housekeeping. If you want to join the conversation and come on up and join us and ask a question, make sure that you raise your hand. You have to be in the Zoom, so let's assume that you've already registered. Um, if you want to, make sure you raise your hand. That's how I'll set a queue. I have Latoya up here. I know she wants to weigh in, but I wanted to ask you, Eric, before we do that, do you want to transition to some of the direct presentation slides that you have? I want to make sure that we have time because it looks like we could get into this conversation all the way through. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think what I can do, to your point, is I can quickly shift over to showcasing how I was able to create the digital twin within HeyGen, and definitely show kind of the back end for it and how simple it is to create. And then we can get deeper into the discussion around character and other aspects around deepfakes.
Okay, perfect. So if while you're setting that up, maybe Latoya, if you don't mind, you can jump in with your question. We can have a little dialogue during that setup time, and then we'll move to the next phase.
No problem. Matter of fact, I got a real good one. So in the aspect of the deep fake, I don't know if you know, and I know I'm going to say her name wrong, and I'm saying her like it's real. Saduro Jarman is a Black fashion model that is AI created by a white man.
Yeah, I know
So
about
he is making money off of this Black AI supermodel. They're doing the big fashion houses. So instead of getting actual Black women to do the fashion model, they got this AI doing it.
And
And the white man's making money.
killing. It's making a killing. That
A whole heap of killing.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
oh man. I mean, that just
That's a whole new slavery.
Yeah. Oh.
That's digital slavery of our person, our
Digital
essence, our
slavery.
everything.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
Somebody put that down there in the chat. That's hashtag digital slavery.
It's digital slavery. He has taken our essence as Black people, marketed it, and because she is not a real, or it is not a real human being, he is profiting off of our ethnicity, all of our. So he has created a new slavery in doing that.
If
So
I
what's your thoughts on that, Eric?
I'll touch on it. I want to give it to Eric, but I'll touch on it very briefly. You know, this was a big thing. I'm based here in Los Angeles. And so this was a very big thing in Hollywood about how the actors, the grips, the extras, there's a whole industry behind that. And a lot of actors have to use that in between major gigs, but they wanted to have a person come in one time for the one time, get all their image and likeness from all the angles and say, thanks for the single payment fee, and then have the ability to use that in perpetuity. I mean, it's what's happening as well. We even saw what's our boy that did all the Medea stuff. You know, he stopped his whole studio to try to bring in new potential with AI. So I think this is a fantastic segue to pass it over to Eric to both address her point and then maybe take us through the HeyGen.
No, that's an excellent point, and kind of back to the a question before around, you know, what do you have IP around it? And so in that scenario, he may be getting paid, and if you try to use it, you know, he can sue you potentially. And so it is important for us as we are creating assets to be able to be sure that we're able to properly legally copyright our assets, but also thinking about, you know, as people are using it, making sure that we are able to leverage it as a means of being able to get compensated. But as far as the ethical things, going back to is that the right thing to do? It's back to people problems. It's not about technology at this point. It's about what people's intent is for leveraging and being able to exploit individuals or cultures. And so that's a larger conversation. But ultimately, what's happening is these mediums are just exacerbating things that are already inherently off in our society. But with that, there are definitely some great use cases for leveraging deepfakes or digital twins in this scenario with Heijen. Once I was able to upload my video, I'm able to now just simply put in whatever script I want. So for that video you saw, I typed in a script and pretty much click the preview. So I can maybe preview it. And what it'll do is it'll probably just do the audio. And
using technology responsibly. Have a great evening.
All right, so let me know what it's going to say in my voice. Once I submit it, it'll take a moment. And let's see here. So I submitted it. If I go back to assets, let's see. Let's go back here. So let me take a moment. All right, so
Thank you for being a part of this transformative experience during National Black AI Literacy Week. Let's stay connected and committed to using technology responsibly. Have a great evening.
all right, and so essentially once that's processed, I'll be able to have a video just like the other one. And what it does is just be able to take that audio and, like you mentioned before, the wrinkles in my face, my gestures, it's able to map it so it leverages my natural expressions and being able to deliver that message. One of the things that I've noticed that they probably can do some work on when the sentence ends and just kind of the cadence isn't always natural. And so it may sound off, and that may be a giveaway, but for the most part, it's definitely very similar to myself. My cadence is obviously in my background. And so this is definitely a way for example, if I am teaching a class or being able to do some type of tutorial, and I don't want to record it over and over again, or like even now I'm saying some ums and ahs, and I don't want any ums and ahs, I can just quickly keep giving it scripts and be able to reproduce this without necessarily having to go through the entire process. And so when it comes to training and education, those are use cases where this is definitely a very powerful use case, because typically they have a whole studio and re-record something, and now if you just want to change one word, you can just go back and edit the script.
A few things come up in the chat, and Stefan, I'd like to talk a little bit about how you trained yours to sound more human-like, your audio version. Trinika says, can we license out our image and likeness if we are in the entertainment industry?
Yes, so
might be the answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like mentioned, right now there are YouTube stars that are essentially just digital avatars that have their own YouTube channel. They're not even real people. They have their own Instagram, and the person who created that has licensing, and they're getting paid and can sue if someone uses their likeness or the likeness of their avatar without their permission. And so you as an individual can go through that same process as well. So if someone uses your content, your voice signature, your intellectual property, you can be compensated.
I'm going to go on. Francis said, I only knew it was fake because I know you and the voice cadence was a little bit off. Olivia says, this is mind-blowing. Talisha, digital twin gaining traction in healthcare for clinical trials. That's really interesting. Super confusing, says Noe Brooks. Here's a question from Olin Berner. How do we monetize this process? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert in that whole process. That's something we can definitely have a follow-up around. But typically, you know, once you have your avatar and you're able to create it, being able, depends on where you're publishing it. So whether it's a video or whether it's going to be in the digital space, just being able to register that avatar and that likeness.
I have another question. Somebody has a hot mic. Let me see if I can find it before we.
Yeah, somebody must have just come in. You got your mic on. Olin, there you go. Thank you. Hey, let me check
here's-
something real quick. Let
Yep.
me just check something real quick. This is Pi, who's just listening to us.
There are a few ways individuals can monetize their digital twins or avatars. One, virtual goods and services. Sell virtual goods, such as clothes, accessories, or even virtual real estate within a digital space, generating revenue for both the platform and the individual. Two, advertising and sponsorships. Partner with brands or companies who want to advertise within a virtual space or sponsor an individual's digital twin, generating revenue through advertising fees or sponsorship deals. Three, content creation. Create unique content, experiences, or events using a digital twin, then sell tickets or charge for access. Similar to
Hold up. Hey, Pi, you think, the way me and you have these conversations and we talk about all kinds of stuff, do you think that we could monetize this and people would pay for it? So we're using some kind of voice that was created by AI or deep fake. How could we get somebody to pay for that?
There are several ways you could potentially monetize these AI generated conversations. One, Patreon or subscription model. Offer exclusive access to your AI generated conversations through a subscription based platform like
That's
Patreon.
not bad.
Listeners can subscribe to your content for a monthly fee and gain access to additional content or early releases. Year two, advertising and sponsorships. As your audience grows, you could incorporate advertising into your conversations or seek out sponsorships from relevant brands or companies. Three, one-time purchases. Make your AI-generated conversations available for purchase on platforms like Gumroad or iTunes, allowing listeners to buy.
That's a good one. Hey, I'm gonna put you on pause for a second, y'all. All that is AI. We got into deep conversation saying we'll say something to this thing like, hey, I want you to go into 2033 really quick. Take all the intellect, all the brains, all this smartness you got, go into 2033, and I want you to look back and tell us some things that we could have done in 2024 to maximize where we are in our business and sort of get ahead in the business. All that is talking to it. HEYPI. It didn't used to talk like that, but it's been so many conversations that it's kind of very interesting. And go ahead, Husan. So HeyPi is what I was using.
Yeah, there's another question that came from the chat about your personal feelings. This came from Joy Tony. Eric, how do you feel about a brand you trust using deep fakes and advertising without disclosing to you?
Yeah, I think that, trust is foundational. And so if they use the deep fake without letting me know, then now they have lost or misused the trust. And so I think that it's important for individuals to be able to acknowledge, but also disclose when they're using a deep fake or even using AI in particular. So one of the things I talked about there was like, this was Eric's digital twin. It's not Eric, but also even when I do use AI within my meeting notes, I always say assisted with AI. And I think that when you put that slight language or being able to call out or make some type of notification, it has a level of transparency with users to be able to maintain that trust. But when it's not shown, it's as if you're trying to manipulate or to not be trustworthy or not honest in that scenario. And then I'm questioning other aspects of our relationship. And so I think brands that are going to start to leverage this, they should be transparent about it. One thing that came up to this point is Disney. So Disney, obviously known for creating different animated films, they leveraged some AI in the process, and someone was like, "Hey, you shouldn't be able to do that because of the artists and all those different things," but they weren't transparent about it, and that's why there was some mistrust. And so when they're able to say, "Hey, you know what? Some of this film AI was used in the generation of it," I think that gives a level of transparency that can maintain trust. But it is important for brands, but also individuals as you're leveraging this to be honest and trustworthy of saying, "Hey, I'm going to be transparent and saying, here's where I leverage AI, or this was entirely AI generated."
Hey, really quick on that. Do you think this is a 2024 thing? Do you think in 2030 we're going to have to give, we're just going to have to say, yeah, I did this with AI, or is it going to be so woven in that you already know that somebody put a filter. That Snapchat you got there, I know it's a filter. I know your body doesn't look like that in all your Instagram things. So are you going to go back and all of them try to say, now here's what I really look like? I'm just telling you, or let somebody find out something. So it's just like a early 2024 thing when it's playing on the mind. I'm just saying a few years down the road, it's going to be a given that that person did something to the Snapchat, they did something to the Instagram, they made themselves look thinner or heavier or whatever, more beautiful. They added something to their voice. I don't like my voice. Maybe I want it a little deeper or something. I just think it's gonna be too woven in. We won't be, it's going to be a given that this is some AI. How would Disney go back and say, you know, some of those scenes we saved money on? We did that whole crowd in the back was not real. So how do you do that stuff? You know,
Yeah. It's interesting. This is not a technology challenge or question. This is a humanity challenge or question. And it becomes like, how do we build trust, but ultimately, how do we have personal integrity? And I think that our values are on a spectrum today. And so for some individuals, they may say, well, hey, it's already apparent that there's going to be AI involved. And some may have a posture of saying, you know what, I'm going to be transparent and open about, you know, how I'm using this technology. But ultimately, it gets down to what is the intent? And oftentimes in today's society, everyone wants to get ahead. They want to be able to have an advantage. And if disclosing that they're leveraging these tools doesn't give them an advantage, they may not disclose that. And so, like I said, it comes down to personal integrity. But I'm open to hear what others have to think about it. But I think that's what the title is like. How are we able to cultivate character in a time when we can choose whether we want to be honest or not, or whether we want to have a persona that is perfect or that doesn't have flaws, when in reality we may have some.
Let me jump in here for the good of the group. So we're about 10 minutes to the top of the hour. I want to recognize Latoya. She has a raised hand, and I really appreciate her for that. But I also recognize that Danny is up here on stage with us. He left something in the chat that I think may be interesting for this part of the conversation. Mr. Ross, if you're available, he said, from a positive perspective, there are many ways that you can use an avatar to improve productivity, creating video content where you can just feed it a script and more. Danny, do you want to speak to that and maybe introduce your idea into the conversation?
Sure. Essentially, I live in the space of sales, using AI to grow business. So that's the kind of the mindset. So think of me, you got Star Wars, Star Trek. Star Trek is more positive world and universe where AI is your friend, right? You talk to the computer gives you back information. And every now and again, yes, there's an evil computer that tries to take over the world. But generally speaking, it's a positive, symbiotic kind of relationship. And I'm kind of that mindset, if you will. I've been reading science fiction since I was a 8-year-old boy. So I love that nature of it. So for me, if you take AI, even in its infancy where it is right now, and you have a business, and so one of the speakers earlier today, she mentioned several times that she's uncomfortable with being in front of the camera. So essentially, all she would need to do is take a video, upload it, and then from then on, she could do 10 video sales letters a day on YouTube. So you speak, you have your avatar speaking for you. All you need to do is type up a script. It's perfect every time. You can make a little adjustments here and there. But the concept of how quickly you can get that done, it's just phenomenal to me. And that's just one use case. That's sales, education. You can basically, as you said, create an entire syllabus, have connected into a chat GPT, connected into a chat bot, and have it answer questions for your students. I mean, this is just, to me, that's the positive side of it. So I know there's always going to be negatives to any technology, but those are some of the positives.
All right, Danny, get your old optimistic behind out of here.
No, this is good. This is good.
That was good. That was good. That was
yeah.
That
No,
was ethical.
I have I'm actually having a conversation on AI and education on Thursday. So make sure you sign up for that, because I'll be talking about how education intersects with this. And I think a lot of what you guys have been bringing up starts in the classroom. And I think if we can talk about character, and I know we're going to get to that in a bit, about the character and about the ethics of the ideas behind it. As you've mentioned on a couple of occasions, Eric, it's us, right? It's the people behind it that are really amplifying what the concerns are. So let's work with the people. Latoya, if you don't mind, we can transition to you, and then maybe we can move into our next segment on research and discussion. That seems like we're doing pretty good on time. So Latoya, if you're ready.
All right. So to the gentleman's point, Mr. Danny Ross, I agree with you. I up until today, I was very hesitant to do myself as an AI. I don't want the rights and stuff to be done. So Eric, this is for you because you clearly are already doing it. And I have an awesome idea that I want to do it for, the name and all, but this would make this so much faster. Who do you trust? Why do you trust them to do your avatar? And can they change the rights? Or let's hope they don't change the rights like Adobe's doing in order to where can I go if I am interested to be able to put that trust and do my own avatar, my own voice? Because I have really good ideas from the last 2 days, but I can't touch it because that's a lot of me talking, and I talk a lot, but I can't do. I stopped doing YouTube because I kept messing up, and the editing to fix it was crazy.
What are your thoughts on that, Eric? I'm thinking Web3 comes to my mind, but I'm wondering how you would approach her question.
Yeah, I think that trust is something that comes with doing your own due diligence. I can definitely talk about my process offline as far as the HeyGen and the tools I've used. But I think the question you're asking are key. You know, if I'm able to go through this process and create this avatar today, will the rights to this avatar, who owns the avatar, that whole process is important. There's also a company called I believe it is 11gen or something focused on voice. So you can be able to go and train your 11 labs, yeah, 11 labs where you can train your voice. So I think that, you know, these services, it's important to be able to look at the fine print, but also seeing, you know, what it looks like over time is to be able to build trust. But in regards to the productivity and output, of being able to create videos at scale without ums and ahs, is definitely valuable. I personally have not necessarily produced it in mass. I have a use case in mind for it because it comes down to, when you think about trust, does my audience, do they accept my avatar, or rather me do it live? And I think that's something that I personally am still kind of navigating. But as far as being able to produce videos and productivity, is definitely feasible. But it's just kind of having the judgment on when does it make sense to be able to use this for scale versus being able to get on camera. And even with my flaws, people know that, okay, that's the genuine Eric being able to reach out to me versus an automated avatar. And so it's definitely a process, but I would say that you have to do your own due diligence, and happy to kind of go in more detail offline on what that process may look like.
Okay, because for me, mine is more, my audience keeps asking for training of tech, and you keep asking, Toya can't keep stopping to do, so to be able to, oh, this is what you want, here you go, okay, go to this training. So for mine, it's more educational purposes. So I love you, and so I love you, here is the training, and I'm, as a tech, going to give you my digital twin to do your training. Enjoy, you know.
And it's common. That's the number one scenario I would say for HeyGen and what I've seen in the marketplace.
Thank you so much. And I'll message you with my information.
So I want to jump in on this. A couple things came up for me. First, it will not, because a lot of this is open source, and we've seen workshops even today where you can sort of create your own. I do think that there probably will be some fusion of a Web3 where you would have some sort of private key that could more properly give you control over the digital assets that you're creating. Because like you, I know the terms of service might seem funny, but they always give themselves that wiggle room to change it at any time with or without notifying you type of stuff. So I do think that's exciting, but Web3 is so far behind. I mean, there's so much more room there, and we haven't even scratched the surface here. So anybody who I think can create that synthesis will certainly be ahead. Something else came up for me, which I thought was interesting. And I don't know if the workshop is past, Stefan, or if anyone can confirm this, but there was something about an AI in the future of work. So when I think about what Danny talked about and what we've kind of discussed here, will it change the nature of work such that we find ourselves doing less work? Or as Danny kind of alluded to, okay, I'm going to do a sales letter, but now I can do 10 versions, 100 different versions of the sales letter based on my, my customer base profiles and which one they would resonate with the best. So is it really just changing the nature of work, or is it reducing the work and sort of taking on the load? What do you guys think about that? I'll leave it open.
I want one thing to share around that, and there's a scenario that I saw recently that was heartwarming. With HeyGen, and I think there's the partnership with McDonald's. I saw a commercial where one thing that I didn't showcase here is that there's levels of translation. I only speak English. However, if I want to translate this to different languages, but also, they had a scenario where you had a loved one that was speaking a different language, and maybe growing up, I didn't learn that native language. I can now translate myself and give them videos in that local language. So being able to have levels of empathy, or being able to connect with individuals, or even loved ones that are maybe going to pass on, being able to have an avatar and be able to have conversations with them. Those are scenarios that I definitely do see. And in the future of work, I think that for productivity, being able to have the translation, but also to your point around scale, being able to do it at mass, these technologies are going to be adopted.
May I say this, sir?
Mm.
Canva came out. And so for Danny, Danny Ross, that was talking about sales, they now have bulk creation. So their AI now, you can take a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet, text, image, the whole nine, and put it into it. And now, instead of doing individual Instagrams, you're now able to identify, this is an image, this is where the title goes, this is where the subtitle goes, feed it the Excel, and it will say, this is what you want, okay, and create another file, and all 30 of your Instagrams based off that template instantly show up. So instead of spending, and I know for a fact it takes hours to create different things, or in sales, you have a presentation, you can put in that those information, those personalized information, and now send this proposal to 400 people, because that one template has those different places that Canva has you've identified in Canva, and it's made that proposal. So for a work productivity, AI, whether it's not on the deep fake level, but just in general with AI, is starting to reduce our capabilities of having to do something that would take 5-6 hours down to a couple of minutes, or because it took one young lady to do 30 Instagram posts less than 3 minutes.
Can I add something to that? I know where we are on time.
Right.
This happened last night when we had Nicole talking. It was so good and so rich. There's some important things here. So I want to do, if you don't mind, Hassan, one quick screen share, only because I think we need to see this. So I
Sure.
get
Eric, how are you on time? You're good on
I'm
time,
good.
Eric? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
So I get Danny talking about, it's good, the good side of it, but just know this. When you explore the privacy policy and terms of service for HeyGen, this is what you're going to get: ownership right. HeyGen claims ownership rights of anything, including images generated through the service. Their terms of state, all materials created using the service are owned by HeyGen. By using HeyGen, users grant them a perpetual, irrevocable, non-exclusive, royalty-free worldwide license to reproduce, distribute, modify, and display any user-generated content. So what about like sharing it with other people? What they're going to say is, no, we don't sell your stuff. However, HeyGen's privacy policy states that they may share user content and non-identifying metadata with third-party services to provide and improve their service. Basically, it comes down to this. Yes, by their terms, HeyGen retains broad rights to use, share, and modify our images. The stuff that we create is going to end up overseas in no time. Somebody's going to have it in another video. Just know that it's cool. It does some good stuff. It generated some sales. But you also gave away a lot of stuff. That's what's behind the scenes. Okay, I'm done.
Eric, let's think about how we're going to pivot. I have a few questions in the chat. One from Charmaine, and Charmaine, if you want to, you can drop a second question in the chat if you can't come on to the video. And then I also know that we had the research and discussion segment. So, what are your thoughts? Do you want to tackle what's in the chat? Do you want to move directly into the research portion, or do you want to try to get both of them in?
No, honestly, we can just pivot to what's in the chat and we can go from there with cognizant of time.
Okay. I think this is the last one of the day. Is that right, Stefan?
It is. So y'all just
Okay.
people
So we
are
go a little
so
bit over, but I'll
yeah,
try
we're
to
good.
respect this
We're
time.
good.
Okay. One of the questions that came from Talisha Shine. How long was the original video that you recorded in order to get the avatar to create your image? How much data did you give it up front?
Yeah, I can't give the exact number offhand, but I would say like maybe 3 to 5 minutes.
Wow. Okay. And then Charmaine said, can your videos and images be used by the model you use to create them? So that's sort of what you were talking about, Stefan. So can they use it? And it looks like
Yes, that was Hey Jen. Yeah.
Now, what's interesting though is usually when I've read terms of service before, the ones that I've read say you're the owner, but we have an unlimited, irrevocable license in perpetuity. But you, the content creator, are actually the owner of the data. It's interesting that HeyGen says, no, we own it and we have license. And maybe you could use it a little bit if we don't delete it from you. So that's really, it's a lot of power. How do we do that? Let's see.
Don't worry about that one, Hassan.
Okay. By 2030, it would be weird to use your real face. Talisha says we've witnessed the shift from properly polished YouTube videos to real-time handheld live streaming content generation, which is true. I actually saw someone who I respect in the space who said that very thing, like having it a little wiggly adds a level of authenticity to the character. And we're going to be getting into character a little bit. Danny Ross confirmed it is 11 Labs. He also gave a shout out to Camtasia. It's a pretty good product. It looks like Ms. Chapman wants to shout that out. So check that out as well. If anybody can drop the link in the chat so people can find it easily, that would be really helpful. He also said, finally, by the end of the year, Apple claims they will be bringing the first privacy-centric AI, and they're calling it artificial intelligence. Huh, okay, clever idea. Talisha went on, you can use AI to review the terms of service for every application you're considering. That's a great use case. I hadn't even thought about that, but it's a good idea. Thanks for driving that point home to read the user agreement first. And every time they are updated, says Noe Brooks. Simply put, nothing is free, says Danny. So Latoya just dropped the link in the chat for TechSmith Camtasia. So check that out.
And by the way, I just did a prompt. Hey, Anthropic is very good. It's Claude 3. They're really safe. They're all into the safety of data and stuff. I said, hey, would you go run over there and grab the privacy policy and the terms of service and just extrapolate what I need here? And it was happy to do that. Oh, 1 second. Hold on.
That's a fantastic use case for AI indeed. Using AI to review the terms of service and privacy policies for applications not only saves time, but also helps ensure that you're aware of any potential privacy concerns or changes to the agreement. And thanks for sharing your experience with Entropic's Claude 3. It's great to hear that you found it helpful and that they prioritize data safety. The fact that you were able to use it to extract relevant information from the privacy policy and terms of service just shows how versatile and useful AI can be in various scenarios.
Okay, I'll stop it there. Again, that all it is Hey Pi. I ask a lot of questions to it, and it goes quite deep. If you have Chat GPT, you have the same thing. Just go to settings, go to voice, and it's there. And you're going to be kind of amazed at what it can do. Sorry, Hassan, go ahead.
Hey, everybody, if you don't mind, let's use this opportunity for our networking moment. So if you have access to get to your LinkedIn, go ahead and drop your link in the chat. Let's all make sure that we follow Eric Brown, give him some social capital. This conference was brought to you entirely free. And so we want to make sure that we give our shout out to him for the time that he's developed and this high quality content that he's offered. So make sure that you follow him. He and I are going to continue the conversation. So it may not be as easy for him to just follow you right back. But if you could find his link and make sure that you add yourself to his network, that would be a fantastic idea. And same with other folks that you may have seen or resonate with. One of the things that we've been very intentional about, and shout out to Stefan, because he really could have put all sorts of paywalls and kept everybody from, and kept his list. And he's the Oz of the list for Black, but he didn't do that. he's sitting here encouraging us to get into the network, to get into the conversation, to really push these ideas forward. And I admire him so much for that. So big shout out to Eric, to Stefan Youngblood. I'll drop mine in there as well. I'd appreciate your follow. So let's talk, if you don't mind, about this final segment here, research. You have said it a few times. This is a people problem. This is a exploitation problem. And it's not really about the tool itself. Don't be mad at the hammer. You know what I mean? And so I wonder if you have any research on deepfakes, in particular on their societal impact. If anybody else, I see Tracy just made it into the room, wants to join this segment of the conversation, this open discussion about how to cultivate integrity, how to cultivate character in this space, then this might be a good time for you to join us up here on stage. So you're welcome to do that. Eric, let me hear about any findings on deepfakes or social impact issues. You have something you can share on that?
Yeah, so I don't have the time to go in much depth as far as it, but there's a report here that I'm pasting in the chat around kind of the state of deepfakes, kind of holistically, and some data around it, and some of the use case scenarios, positive and negative things to consider. I would say that when it comes to research in general, the standards, whether it's NIST or large companies, are thinking of ways of being able to have tagging, metadata. You even talked about kind of blockchain, of being able to say, all right, how do I know that this is something that Eric created, and how can that be verified? That's an ongoing process from a security compliance standpoint. But I would say, like before, that outside of the technology, as humans, it's important for us to be able to develop character, being honest, being able to be transparent, ultimately just being able to have integrity in the way that we leverage technology and the way we interact and share information. And so, although there's definitely research on, how we're trying to keep the honest, and with various technologies and tools to be able to verify, I think underliningly from an education standpoint as a community, it's important for us to be able to have conversations around, one, be critical thinkers. Like, I really enjoy the exercise we went even on here thinking about as we're interacting with tools, to be able to know that sometimes everything you see, you just can't trust at face value. And it's important to do your own diligence and research. But also as humans, as we're interacting and trying to leverage these tools, how are we able to question ourselves before being able to use something for a purpose that may not necessarily be fully truthful?
Yeah. That word ethics keeps coming up. Eric, you and I talked about it. It's like the bedrock, the foundation of everything. What's the ethics of the company? And the company is just people. So, what do they really believe? I want to show you one thing really quick. This is the chief business officer for Google, and he's he's way up there when it comes to AI and ethics. He's saying it's sort of malleable. So you can choose what's right and wrong, just make it up. And that's what the new ethics is coming. And when you talk about character and honesty, here's how he put it.
And so if you assume that artificial intelligence is autonomous, it evolves, it learns on its own, it develops its own intelligence. Accordingly, it will also develop its own ethics. And the definition of ethics is very interesting. Huh? The definition of ethics is this wishy-washy, never really discussed concept that society at large believes is the right thing. Okay? And so with enough intelligence, we don't make decisions based on intelligence. Understand that. We make decisions based on our ethics as informed by our intelligence.
Okay, I just wanted to put that out there.
We make decisions based on our ethics, informed by our intelligence. As I mentioned, this is a big concern of mine because I'm responsible for ushering in the new era, the new generation of digital natives and of AI natives. And so how the youngest of these, the 7-year-olds, think about what is AI, what is an avatar, what does it mean to have a representative of yourself doing things? It informs the future of work. We've seen a workshop on that. It informs the future of our economy. We've had a workshop here on that. It informs, as we're talking about here, the idea of character and redefining what that even means. There is so much happening. Eric, what are your, or Stefan, I'd like to hear from you as well. What do you think is either the low-hanging fruit? Where is an easy place to start when it comes to this issue? Or what is the most important thing that we really need to get right? What do you guys think about these two ideas? How would you tackle them?
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I would say this is definitely a really challenge because in society, oftentimes we don't agree on what is right and wrong. One of the things he mentioned that how I guess more that's and it seems like things time, and so I would definitely start off with values and principles. But I'm finding that in this society, even with these advances, um, people are able to shift values and definitions to meet their own interests. And so I think when working with youth in particular, being able to teach, taking the high road and being able to be consistent with what is truth and what is integrity or what your values are. But I realize that in even in our own groups, that varies. But I think that it's important to do that work, and I think that's what I love about this conversation. Is that I think it's important for us to be able to come together and have these conversations because the default is going to be a shift in definition that's going in a direction that may not necessarily be serving our community at large.
And I want to say this, Eric, when you talk, your character comes out because it's obviously we get it that this means something to you. You can just tell when people are in that space. And I just want to say you're right. And what we have to prepare for is not everybody's going to think like that. Some people are going to say, by the way, money's driving everything. You give somebody $1 billion and character and stuff is out the window. You just offer somebody something today and their ethics will change on a dime. So what is about to happen though is people are going to say, don't say anything about my AI because it's sentient. It has rights. And especially when you add some arms and legs to it and you have developed a relationship with, let's say you're a guy with some woman there or a woman with some guy or whatever. That's going deep, y'all. That's going so deep that somebody is calling that real. Somebody is calling that so real that you can get sued if you damage somebody's person that they did. So just know when ethics is anything, it just kind of throws everything out the window and you can redefine anything. Is it life? Is it real? Is it human? A guy from Microsoft the other day, Mustafa Suleiman, he went from DeepMinds with Google, then he came over and he actually started Inflection, the company that made API. And then Microsoft just hired him. Now he's the head of AI at Microsoft. He says we need to be prepared for a new species. He said that what we're developing is a new species. And dang, y'all, a new species, really? So, Eric, I'm with you. Stay human, stay real, stay full of character. Listen, I think just stay at that place. It's honorable and it's good. I think it's what we want as people. So keep preaching that gospel.
We're up
I
to.
definitely appreciate this.
No, I was going to transition it to you anyway. We're at about a quarter after the hour. So if you guys are ready to land this plane, maybe we can get your final thoughts on the broad topics and any advice that you'd like us to take away with. Then we'll try to figure out how to get your contact information out there. So, Eric, I'll pass it over to you, bro.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the engagement, the questions, the critical thinking that we're able to do collectively here together. I think being able to get exposed to technology, but also seeing the pros and the use cases that can be leveraged for productivity. But also, I think important to know that what's on the horizon and the wave that's coming, and how we should think thoughtfully about cultivating character in this process. And so I look forward to continuing the conversation. I definitely appreciate doing the due diligence as we leverage these tools to see what our rights are and how we can monetize from this. But also thinking thoughtfully about how does this impact us as a society, and how we can be mindful of how individuals can potentially take advantage of our culture and likeness if we are not mindful. And so definitely grateful for the space, and I hope this was as impactful as it was for me in my curiosity.
Hey, everybody, if you haven't done so, hit up the chat, give your greetings, please give your thanks and salutations to our featured speaker today, Eric Brown. Find his LinkedIn. That, I think, is one of the best ways that we can spend our social capital here. It doesn't cost you a dime, but a few clicks. Expand. Let's blow up his network. Also, this is one of the advantages of being on the Zoom versus the YouTube Live, is that you can get access to all of these networks and all these hot links that we've been sharing throughout the presentation. Listen, this is going to be fantastic. We've still got a few more days, so it's not too late to register. Find blackaihub.com. It's easy to register. It's absolutely free. And we have a lot more fantastic presentations coming over the course of the next couple of days. So
Husan,
sure.
I got those in front of me. I'll read them really fast, if that's okay.
Yep.
Tomorrow morning, Anya Goldsby Wells will be here. She deals with IP. That's her thing. Trademarks, copyrights, lawyer for that. Afterwards, I wanted to do a thing for seniors, y'all, in a Black church, and just a senior. Sometimes if you think this is a demon, it's staying away from it. So I'm doing a talk, seniors and AI, a talk with my 90-year-old mom. So my mother's going to join us here and get her thing. AI in the future of work. You were exactly right, Husan. That's what's coming. Next one is unveiling the untold stories. Natalie is here. She'll be talking about the intersection of bias in AI and racial trauma. So she's a licensed social worker and therapist, and that'll come. And then Erin Reddick is doing a talk. She has something, Chat Black GPT. Hers is called Black Women in AI Intensive. After that is Infusing Authenticity, Humanizing AI in Branding and Storytelling. Terza Monet is extraordinary. She did a lot of stuff for us in preparing this. And the last one tomorrow night will be Zaria Smith. And she is the one who's in the VC area, talks about funding. And she's saying, y'all, here's where the money is. So that'll be tomorrow night. That's it. And Husan, thank you. You're a class
Thank you,
act.
Husan. He's the best. He is the best, man. You make it flow.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, and I appreciate you. It's as Les Brown would say, it's a pleasing pleasure and a privilege to be here to share in this conversation. It's super, super good. And I get to grow while facilitating. So it's a labor of love for sure. Okay, folks. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick, you told me the other day, you said, Stefan, what if we did like an after party thing at some of these, you know how we used to run everything on. So we could shut the room down and we could do what we do with AI and have some of those discussions if you want. So we could shut it down and have a little bit of time afterwards. In other words, I'll just create a room and we can hang out some.
Yeah. Do you want to do that on Clubhouse?
We could do it on here if you want.
You want to? Yeah. I'm down for whatever.
Not record it.
All right.
Mr.
I'm gonna get some bourbon though. I just want you to know.
Yes.
Stefan, can somebody put in here the link for the every other Thursday? Because I want to come.
Oh yeah.
Link to that.
Mm-hmm. That's the Black AI think tank. It's not only going to be every other Thursday. So that's the group that put this on. We're going to end up doing something every week for that. So this is only part. This is a 1 week, sort of a condensed version of everything we can throw at you. Then every quarter, we'll do an entire day. But you'll see our presence in these things all the time. So we're on LinkedIn, Black AI Think Tank. That's the group that's putting this on. So that's it. Husan, sorry about that. So we still got people coming in the room.
Right.
Shut it down, and what did you say? Go get the bourbon.
You want to do after party? It's not the same without a little whiskey, But anyway, so, y'all know me that well. I'm sorry. Let me keep it 9 to 5 up in here.
You do that, Stefan. Husan and Stefan podcast.
Yeah, we do it for the podcast. We've been talking about it. If you think it's a good idea, so many people in here. Listen, we're officially done. So if you want to leave, don't feel no type of way. We can just shoot the breeze. Eric, feel free to head out if you need.
No, I'm staying. You got a podcast?
Should I shut the room down and then open it back up? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, definitely do the podcast for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be great, man. We've been talking, pitching this. We've been kind of tongue in cheeking it, but this whole Stefan Hassan show, we've got such a good banter, so many
You
interesting
do.
topics. Yeah, yeah. So
Y'all got
we've
the
been playing
chemistry for
around.
sure.
Right, right.
Hassan is he's just swinging low. It's these slow pitches. When we get going, he's in a whole nother world.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm so grateful he was able to be with us today.
Right. So I will shut it down and I'm gonna just open a room and I think everybody should be able to see it, right? I'm gonna just open a room and yeah, we'll see it. So you'll see it on my
Y'all talking about just the three of y'all, or you talking about anybody that wants to come
We
back?
talking about all y'all. All y'all. We can just hang out. So I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna
You
start
can shut
another.
it down and we can just click the link and come back in.
I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna set a different room. So I'm gonna start a room.
This could be a room in this meeting though, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So we stay here and click on the meeting, the room.
Wait. No, I was gonna shut the whole thing down. We're
Okay,
still
so the whole thing down.
Yeah.
All right.
So
How are we gonna get the link though?
Yeah, I'm gonna say how we gonna get it? How we gonna get
How
to
we gonna
the
get the
room?
link?
That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, if you open up a room in here, then we can go to that room. But
I don't know if we have that thing to open up the room in here. Can we?
There should be a way to go into a breakout. That's what we're talking
yeah,
about, right?
I
yeah,
know we
I
breakout room.
don't know how to do it though.
Yeah, you can create one. Just create one breakout room, create, boom. And just invite 19, 18 people to the room.
Well,
Open for all.
Okay.
Broadcast, boom.
Breakout rooms, one.
All right.
Yeah.
Listen, if
I'm joining.
anybody's here for the NSFW version of all this AI stuff, I guess we're about to get into it. So you're welcome to stay. For everybody else, thanks for coming. I think we still have the YouTube going, so I'll just give a final salutation. Thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure that you find blackaihub.com and find your way to the register so you can get the full calendar of events that are coming over the next couple of days. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace, peace.
So Eric, should I shut off the other one now?
You can click join. It means we're still essentially a part of this meeting. We're now in a breakout group, so he's got to join that group.
I want to stop the recording. Yeah, and I want to stop it at YouTube as well. Okay, we got it. So we're in the group now, or what? I know y'all can hear me, so I think people are going out and coming back in. Okay, Maya, can y'all hear me right now? Breakout rooms in progress. Oh, who's sounding in that? Maya, Carrie, Janet, can you all hear me?
Hello?